you're a petrolhead of a certain age, the Toyota Supra is highly likely to have appeared on your bedroom walls in poster form. The fourth generation car, introduced in 1993, leapt to legendary status after its starring role in the first Fast and the Furious movie in 2001 and spawned a cult following. So, what did Toyota do to capitalise on this interest? Why? They stopped production of the Supra the following year. Great work, Toyota. Smart thinking. And so that was that. The Supra remained a highly desirable automotive icon, but Toyota was not interested in bringing it back. Until now. 17 years later, there's an all-new Supra, and it's looking to take the fight to cars like the Porsche 718 Cayman S, Alpine A110 and Jaguar F-Type V6. It certainly stands out against those rivals with some suitably dramatic styling and big 19-inch wheels, and underneath that bonnet is a BMW-derived 3-litre straight-six engine with 340 horsepower. It's a bit of a cliché to say that the interior of a sports car is like a cockpit, but then clichés are usually clichés because they're accurate. So the interior of the Supra is quite cockpitian, with padded panels next to your legs to keep you in place through the bends. The seats hug you in place and are nice and low, although the low roof means that taller drivers, such as myself, might find that their eye line is level with the top of the window. Anyone that's been in a BMW in recent years will find quite a bit of familiar gear in here, and I'll explain why in a minute. Much of the switchgear is the same, as is the infotainment system. That's not a bad thing because the BMW iDrive is quite easy to use, although the screen in the Supra is pretty small. I found it quite hard to read, especially in bright sunshine. Build quality is pretty decent. It's all nicely solid, although it doesn't have that edge of quality that Porsche can boast. There's a few too many clacky plastics. Before I go into how it drives, a little bit about the history of the development of the Supra. It is the love child of Toyota and BMW. They got together back in 2012 and decided that if they worked together, they could probably come up with a pretty decent sports car. BMW came up with the Z4, Toyota came up with the Supra. Our test drive here in Spain has started with some very mundane town and motorway driving, and you know what? It's been very pleasant. The ride isn't harsh, it's been very quiet to cruise, and while rear visibility is absolutely awful, there's enough sensors and cameras around the place to avoid bashing into things. Now we're on the twisty roads. Right from the off, Toyota has been very clear that this isn't a car about numbers and stats and things that are good in theory. This is a car that's all about feeling. The Supra has been designed to tantalise the senses. It's got fast, sharp and meaty steering, meaning that you need to keep your inputs quite small, but it all feels solid rather than twitchy. Hit the big sport button in the centre of the console and it sharpens everything up. The suspension, the steering, the engine and the transmission all get a bit more leery. Feeding it through these tight corners is great fun. You sort of need to concentrate a bit more and figure out how to get the best out of it. It's fun. The engine is great. Porsche copped a lot of flack in the Cayman for moving to a four-cylinder engine, but there are no such worries here. The delivery is thick and creamy and lovely. 340 horsepower won't have you screaming, but it is a very brisk machine. The auto gearbox is very slick, although it's a shame, bearing in mind the ethos of involvement and feel, that there's no manual option. Now, remember I said that this was designed to be a road car? Well, that's true, but Toyota has hired the Jarama race circuit, so it seems a shame not to give this a go on there. It almost feels better at high speed, this car. When you really push it, it feels more composed and solid. But the Supra is an awful lot of fun around here. It's good to know that you don't need 500 horsepower on the track to have a really good time. You need agile handling and confidence in what it's going to do. And the Supra does deliver that. The new Supra is a very enjoyable and very engaging machine that should absolutely be on the list of anyone who's got 50 grand plus to spend on a sports car. It's probably not quite as sharp as the Porsche Cayman S, but the engine's nicer and it's got a different kind of vibe going on. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget that we've got loads more information on the new Supra in our in-depth written review at autotrader.co.uk. While you're here, like, comment, subscribe, the usual stuff. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks.